All right, if you would, thank you all for coming out. If you would all rise. That's all right, we've got to get the Mayor's Youth Council up here. You're right on track. Let's make sure that microphone is on. Angela, is it on? No, it is not. Shelley, are we on? Okay.
Okay, my name is Meredith Dees, and I'm in 10th grade, and I'm going to say the prayer. So bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing another day on this earth. I pray for everyone in the room and that they have a great night and a great tomorrow. And thank you for everything that you've done for us. Amen.
Amen.
My bad. All right, I'm Jake McKay. I attend Brandon High School, and I'm in the 10th grade. I'm going to be saying the pledge today for Mayor's Youth Council. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well done, team. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Pardon me? Under public, okay. All right, folks, glad you came out tonight. We'd like to open it up for public comment from anybody who'd like to make comment to the board. Come on up, David. You might want to, that mic kept slipping down, so you might want to stand it up a little bit and see if you can tighten up that arm.
Hey, we found a new job. Hey, I'm David Stevens. Now that the primary is over, I'm here to make it uphold a promise I made during the campaign, and that is to bring a couple ideas to the board. I have two brief suggestions to the current board, and basically I've talked to a couple of you about it, so you understand where I'm coming from. But on the others, I'll have some information available to you after the meeting that you can read and sort of understand where I'm coming from. The first one relates to the amphitheater debt. You know, it's a 30-year bond, and with that, my proposal would be to establish a bond sinking fund to where we can pay off at least 44% of that bond earlier. And my recommendation on how to do that is you take the annual installments we get from the 2% tax, make the bond payment, and then with that, the balance, allocate a portion to the parks, because we do need to continue to reinvest in the parks because it is an economic driver. And with that balance, the remaining balance, put it back in the reserve fund to where it builds up to where hopefully we can, pay down that debt a little quicker. And I think that would benefit the current citizens and our future citizens. On the second one, it relates to, since we're on the theme of the amphitheater, relates to the operation side. I know with COVID, it's made it challenging times, but as we go forward, so this is more a forward-looking recommendation also, relates to if we could set up or work to establish a reserve fund or a contingency fund within the amphitheater fund, because as that facility ages, we're going to have maintenance and we're going to have to reinvest in it to keep it, top-notch, state-of-the-art. So once we establish and work to establish a significant, reserve fund, you can use that balance to help cushion that investment we need to remake into the amphitheater. And then if in an unlikely event we have a down year, it could help cushion, that impact. So those are my two recommendations. I would, respectfully request those two be part of the record. But like I said, after the meeting, I'll have some more reading information for you to go in a little more detail and more specifics about each one. So with that, I'll say thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience or board like to make public comment at this time? Mr. Baker, you have something?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to announce that minutes ago, the governor announced that Brad Mills will be the next circuit judge for the 20th Judicial District. Brad is Adrian Mills, your city prosecutor's husband, been a lawyer in Brandon for a long time, and we think he's going to do a great job. He will, his investiture will be at 2 o'clock on Friday in the big circuit courtroom downtown. Everyone's welcome.
Thank you. Glad to hear that. Okay. Anyone else? All right, board, if you can attend that, that would be a nice gesture to be there for that family here in Brandon. All right, without any public comment, we'll consider on, I'd like to make note that Mr. James Morris and Miss Sandra are visiting, I think it's her uncle in Kentucky, is that right? In Kentucky. So they're on the road now, and appreciate just keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they travel. I don't know if the uncle's of good health or not, if that's the reason why they're going, but he's not of good health, so okay. So bear that in mind, please, and we'll move on with the board members that we have here this evening. All right, Ms. Bean. Old business, approve the regular board meeting minutes of April the 5th, 2021. Motion by Mr. Lou Coker. Second by Ms. Monica Corley. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you.
May I take all of these together?
Yes, ma'am. Now, there were a couple of additions here, so are these additions in the audience as well?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so the audience has those additions, board. All right, Ms. Ann, just take them slow, please.
Consideration to approve an agreement with Drive All Night Touring, Inc., representing Need to Breathe, and an agreement with Andrew Ripp for the performances on April the 24th, and Carolina Boy, Inc., representing Lee Bryce and Parmalee for the performances on May 1, 2021, and authorize the mayor to execute the same and approve all related expenses. Consideration to modify job description and rates of pay pursuant to the memo effective May 1, 2021. Number 3, consideration to accept the election results from the Republican primary held on April the 6th. Number 4, consideration to approve the docket of claims from April 20th. Fox Everett claims released March 29th and the 30th.
Bless you. Give the board just a second. Some of those items were out of order. So, board, you should have 2 items that look like this as far as those 2 concerts go. All right. You get these, Mr. Baker? I'm sure you do.
Yes, sir. I got it, Mr. Mayor. I got a question.
No. Hang on just a minute. Let's check both ends of the table here. Dwight, Talia, do y'all have those documents in order? You good with those? Monica, Chris? Okay. So that is 4 items from the city clerk. Is there a motion to approve those 4 items? Motion by Ms. Monica Corley. Second by Mr. Chris Benson. Any further discussion on either of those? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Angela.
Good evening, Mayor, Board.
Good evening.
Mayor, I have 7 items. Permission to take those together?
Yes, I think we'll have a little discussion on 1 or 2 of them because they're a couple of additions. I see Mr. Miller made it, so we'll talk about those when we get to them. Okay,
All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Item 1 is consideration to approve Utility Constructors Incorporated change order number 3, increasing the contract by $6,659 and adding an additional 119 days, and pay request number 5 in the amount of $260,746.85 with regard to the downtown waterline improvement project, and authorize the execution and payment of the same. Item 2 is consideration to approve KIPCO Incorporated pay request number 4 in the amount of $61,560 with regard to the 2020 waterline improvement project on Crossgates and Old Lakeland, and authorize payment of the same. Item 3 is consideration to approve Suncoast Infrastructure change order number 2, increasing the contract $1,620 with regard to the 2020 sewer rehabilitation project, and authorize the mayor to execute the same. Item 4 is consideration to approve Thornton Construction Company pay request number 1 in the amount of $142,121.34 with regard to the Felicity Street Improvement Project, and authorize payment of the same. Item 5 is consideration to approve Hempfield Construction Company Incorporated as the lowest and best quote received in the amount of $36,602 and supply the pipe from Southern Pipe and Supply at the commodity pricing in the amount of $5,568 with regard to the Cannon Ridge Subdivision Storm Drain Repair Project, and authorize the mayor to execute any related documents. Item 6 is consideration to approve Griner Drilling Service Incorporated to test drill potential water well sites in the estimated amount of $250,000. That is for 2 sites. Item 7 is consideration to approve the Highway 18 interceptor sewer line replacement and approve the use of West Rankin Utility Authority bond funds as allocated to the city of Brandon for the purpose of funding the project.
Okay, let's have a little discussion on 6 and 7.
Right.
All right. So, board, you have in your memo, there's 2 water wells that we're looking at doing. We already had one in the SRF program to borrow that from the Department of Health.
Yes.
Mr. Miller here can speak to that as well. We have been told, not led to believe, we have been told a specific dollar amount. It's over $5 million, almost $5.5 million of CARES Act money is going to be coming to Brandon. I don't think the exact date that is going to arrive is here. Mr. Miller and Mr. Smith and I have spent several meetings talking about how to use that money. And in my opinion, 95+% of it ought to go to infrastructure, water and sewer. One of those things that we have talked about is putting an additional well in. So the lay of the ground is such as this. We've talked about a well behind Cornerstone, off of Stratford Place, and a water tower back there. That is a growth area in the northeast quadrant of the city. We also have a location behind the fire station on Star Brandon Road, and we're planning to go forward with that water well as well. But with the CARES Act money, we believe the most prudent use of that money is the immediate need of needing more water. So we will be able to say, this is where we want the water well, and this is where we want the water tower, and basically pay for it immediately without having to borrow that money. I think that's a prudent and logical thing for us to do. That also gives us the SRF loan that we had in play. The Department of Health does not like us to back up and change plans, to take things out of a plan if we'd already lined up to borrow that money, because they do long-range planning out of that money as it comes back in as payments are made. So we're sensitive to that as well. So we think that the best course of action is to put a well behind the fire station on Star Brandon Road and in Cornerstone. Now, to achieve that, we've got to have a test well regardless. So trying to be a little proactive, we think it's necessary to go ahead and put a test well in and make sure we know exactly what's there as we plan our water system moving forward. So that's a well in the north and a well in the south. So, board, that explains that. Now, on your memo here, it's got Cornerstone Subdivision and Highway 18. We are going to call this, actually it's at the end of Stratford Drive, within the city limits. We're going to call that the Cornerstone Well. And number 2, rather than Highway 18, we're going to call that the Star Road Well. So those will be the names of those 2 new water wells, if we are able to achieve those based on the results of those test wells. Mr. Miller, does that sound, everything I say, accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Board, do you have questions on that?
Well, I mean, my question, I didn't have any backup material on that.
Well,
I
it's,
know it was just added.
yeah, well, we're asking for permission to do the test wells.
Right.
That's it, in those 2 locations, in preparation for receipt of the CARES Act money, to make sure both of those are good sites, and we'll be able to move immediately.
125,000 each equally?
Yes, the last one we,
As well.
sir?
I mean, does it?
Go ahead.
Is it $125,000 per test site, or does it depend on the depth of the well?
That is the estimated amount. The last one we had done was $120,000. After some discussion with Griner, $125,000 is the budgeted amount per test well.
Okay.
Yes.
I was thinking it was considerably less than that. That's what
Yeah.
my question was, the last one.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, you want?
Amounts were budgeted?
I will say, one of the last ones we had done in the city
Okay.
All right, Charles.
So is this a budgeted item?
No, it is not.
So where are we planning to get the funds from?
This will be paid out of the CARES Act funds.
But we don't have the CARES Act funds, so where's it coming from now?
Well, we're not going to spend that money until we get that. This is just permission to perform the test wells once we have that funding.
So do we need to put that as part of the authorizing?
Mm-hmm.
So that agenda item should include subject to receipt of the funds from the CARES Act?
Mhm.
Subject to receipt of CARES
Yes.
Act funds?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Man, what did you say, 120 was the last one? The last one, I don't think you got it was 9. I had to go back and forth.
Was 120 the last estimate we? Okay. I apologize. I stated that incorrectly, but the last estimate we had for a test well was 120.
Which was at Lake Bend.
No, the estimate was for Cornerstone. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
And then number 7. So number 7, are we through with that? Yes, sir. Okay. So on number 7 on the agenda is we're really asking for permission to allow West Rankin Utility Authority to bid a project for us and pay for it out of their funds. So their board, our board, since I'm on that board, likes to hear from you to say, yes, you're in agreement that that project satisfies the intent. So that Highway 18 interceptor, we've had 2 catastrophic cave-ins. Catastrophic meaning craters. That line was put in, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in 1982. So it is 40 years old. It will adjoin the Community Development Block Grant program that we're working on, beginning rebuilding Apple Ridge and doing a CCP sewer line project through all of the Apple Ridge and West Sunset areas to satisfy that.
It's Morrow and Orr and Apple Ridge are the 2 communities that will get the CIPP project.
Okay, so every one of those sewer lines will be updated and modernized, and there'll be a new sewer line that runs from there to the metering station. So what we're talking about here is coming back from the metering station. Basically, let's see, then we've got 2 assessments to do from that location to 468 and another one to West Sunset. We're going to do those assessments as well?
Yes.
Okay, as part of this project?
Not as part of the specific project. That'll be a separate project in itself, different scope, but it does all tie together.
Okay. So that's the West Rankin Utility Authority project where those funds are coming from. So we're asking for you for permission to allow them to bid and go forward with that project.
And let the project, so you're asking to authorize the West Rankin Utility Authority to advertise for bids and let the project to approve the Highway 18 sewer interceptor as you described, out utilizing the bond funds allocated to the city of Brandon?
Subject to our specifications.
Do you have a timeline? Because I know this is going on while we're also fitting everything for the new pumps, as we've already talked about. So we just have any kind of an idea of a timeline as far as what work is being done when?
No, but the one project is not dependent on the other.
Right.
There are 2 separate projects, so the timeline of the Highway 18 interceptor will not affect or control the other project. Now, we have discussed advertising and bidding those together so that if there is any profit to be gained from the city for having one contractor doing both of those, that will be available to them, but they're not dependent on each other.
Okay. I just didn't know, like, how close out we were to the pumps. I mean, I know you've been keeping me updated, and I appreciate it.
Yes. One of the pumps is delivered. We hope to get the second pump this week, and we had a meeting last week to go ahead and begin work to get ready to install those pumps. So that work will be done independent of the CDBG project, which takes care of everything from the lift station down to the metering station, as well as the rehab of the Apple Ridge and Morrow and Orr areas. This is actually going the other way, so this is the line that comes into that station. Again, the CDBG project and this project, we're going to time those up so that they can advertise and bid at the same time.
Gotcha.
And the installment of the pumps will be done separately. That is already underway as far as the work that needs to be done to get those. So as soon as those pumps come in, we'll be executing that project.
Perfect.
Okay. Any
I
other
was just going to
questions?
say, when we get ready to do that, I know there's the possibility when we start maneuvering that kind of stuff that something could break. And I think if we can give residents in that area something that they've asked for, maybe a heads up when we're doing that work, just so they can kind of be prepared for, because, you know, sometimes there's a smell associated with
Yep.
what goes on around that pump area. So they would kind of like to know in advance. If we could, if you'll let me know,
Yep.
I'll put it
We
out
can do
there.
that.
So, thank you.
Any current update on the community development block grant from Mitzi?
I will add, on the CDBG project, Mitzi standpoint, environmental, we have 90 days to complete that, about 30 days in. So no more than 60 days from now, she'll have the environmental clearance on the project. We had the correspondence last week. As soon as we get that, we get the contracts and everything put together and executed. To further answer your question from a timeline standpoint, we're 60 days out at the max on the environmental turnaround, the project ready to get out. So the project was, particularly Charleston, it is their construction when it's dry, in the late summer or fall, dry months.
All right. So, and we will report back to you what that dollar amount turns out to be when they bid that. We'll report back to you on what that interceptor project is. All right? Does that explain number 7 sufficiently? All right. So is there a motion to approve for Public Works 1 through 7?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chris Vinson. Second by Mr. Harry Williams. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Board.
Mr. Dodd.
Two items, permission to take both together.
Please.
Item 1 is accept the resignation of Shelley Jones effective April 30th, 2021. And I don't want to embarrass Shelley, but I certainly do appreciate all your hard work
What'd you do it for then?
over the past 3 years. You certainly made my job a lot easier, so thank you. You will be missed. Item 2 is consideration to approve the renewal of the tax incentive program for new and existing businesses seeking to invest and improve property located in the 2 central business district zones.
So I gave a brief overview of that last time. Would you?
Yes.
Would you reiterate just in case somebody else wants to hear it again?
the
We're not
central-
giving,
Yeah.
we're not giving hundreds of thousands of dollars away. Go ahead.
Basically, what it is there's 2 business district zones, central business district zones in Brandon. One is downtown, and one is basically the commercial area and the Crossgates area. This program allows for individuals, business owners who are willing to invest in Brandon. We offer, there's a permit fee reduction along with a ad valorem tax or property tax reduction, but it's only the city tax portion of what has been invested in the property.
So Mr. Baker and I are up here whispering, and he's right to point out, Board, that these are 1-year extensions. So this is
Yes.
effective until June of 2022.
Correct.
And at that time, the new board will decide if they want to extend it and go on from there. So.
And I think this has been renewed, this may be the 4th or 5th time that it has come before the board for renewal,
Okay.
so.
All right. Thank you, Matt. All right, Ms. Shelley. So is there a motion to approve, even though you don't want to, tongue in cheek? That sounded painful. Motion by Mr. Lou Coker, second by Ms. Monica Corley. Any further discussion on either of those? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Dawn. How are you this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I have 2 items. Let me take them together.
Yes, please.
Accept the resignation of Alex Boykin effective April 21st, 2021, and consideration to approve the professional service agreement with Jim Trotter and Ramey Ford with regard to the amphitheater consulting and authorize the mayor to execute the same.
All right, just a couple of comments from the mayor. We appreciate Shelley, but I should have mentioned she's going back home kind of thing, right? That's right. Broaden your horizons and send you back. The free state of Jones. And happy for you. We really are. Happy that you spent some time with us. So this evening when Alex is leaving, Alex is originally from Simpson County, and he's going back to Starkville to continue his education and work up there, get some certifications and some other opportunities, so that he may come back to us one day even better than he was when he left. And then on the last one there, Jim Trotter and Ramey Ford, audience, we're bringing them back for 3 shows to interact with our new group that is operating the amphitheater and the Community Development Bank Club, and just the wherewithals of how to address people in box seats and things like that. So we want to do a little osmosis from their minds to our minds so that we don't miss a beat as we move into this next concert season. So that's what that's about.
Mayor, is this contract individually with Jim Trotter? Is he no longer with Red Mountain?
That is correct. He is no longer, well, he was with Live Nation. He wasn't with Red Mountain. He was with Live Nation performing that same function for Red Mountain. And he was not let go, but furloughed like many employees were in the last year. He actually took a position with a nonprofit board that he served on for many years up there, I think in Jasper, Alabama. So he's doing rather well, but he's more than willing to come back and help us transcend the next person that will be working with our box seat holders, advertisers, and Community Development Bank Club. So there you go. So we're going to be getting what good we can out of his mind and embed it into Carly Key's mind. All right? So, thank you. Any other questions on those 2 items on parks? All in favor say aye. I'm sorry. Motion by Mr. Chris Vinson, second by Harry Williams. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. All right, Chief.
Good evening, Board, Mayor. Would you like me to take these together?
Slowly, please.
Yes, sir. Request permission to hire Michael Humphrey, please stand, as a patrolman effective July 5th, 2021, and Braden Bailey, please stand, as a communications officer effective May 3rd, 2021, and set rate of pay pursuant to the memo. Item 2, request permission to transfer communications officer Olivia Bailey to patrolman effective July 5th, 2021, and set rate of pay effective pursuant to the memo. Item 3, request permission for University of Southern Mississippi student John Drago, he could not attend tonight, to enter in the City of Brandon Police Department internship program effective May 10th, 2021. And accept the following resignations. Investigator Kevin O'Flaherty, effective April 16th, 2021. Investigator Seth Brown, effective April 16th, 2021. And Communications Officer Brian Kilborn, effective April 29th, 2021. Item 5, and there's some explanation that will follow most of this. Item 5A, permission for myself to travel to the FBI National Academy Spring Trainer in Gulfport, May 19th and 21. June 13th through 18th, 2021, Chiefs Association Summer Conference in Biloxi. That is going to be refunded by the state. That will not cost the city anything. July 6th through 10, 2021, FBI NAA Summer Conference in Orlando. Item 4, August 7th through 12th, 2021, Mississippi NA Chapter Conference, Gulfport, Mississippi. I do believe I will have a military conflict with that. That's not solid yet, so I may or may not be traveling. I don't think I will be. September, did I miss one? Yep, September 10th through 14th, 2021, ICAP Conference in New Orleans. This will be paid for by the Chiefs Association. That's fully funded by the Chiefs Association. B, Drew Decker and Sim Shanks to travel to the Mississippi Command College, Oxford, Mississippi, July 24th through 30th, 2021. And Lieutenant Rod Birch, June 11th through 15th, motorcycle training course in D'Iberville, Mississippi. This is currency to ride his motorcycle. The motorcycle training course, they have to be recertified every year, and this is his recert course. And that is also of no cost. That's paid for by that association. Item 6, permission to surplus 4 filing cabinets and transfer to the Office of Surplus Property. Item 7, permission to reclassify 1 unmarked 2017 Chevrolet Tahoe bearing VIN number ending in 9714 as a general fleet vehicle and patrol use. What it's going from investigations to patrol. We're taking the unmarked tag off of it.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to approve those 7 items? Motion by Mr. Lou Coker. Second by Mr. Dwight Middleton. Any further question or comments on those? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to take all 4 together, sir.
Yes, sir.
Accept the resignation of firefighter John Berry, effective April 14th, 2021. Rescind board action taken on January 4th, 2021 under section 10.3 of the minutes with regard to the status change of Eric Baker. Request permission for Captain Brian Beck to travel to Meridian, Mississippi to attend structural collapse rescue class on May 10th to 17th, 2021. Consideration to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Brandon Fire Department, Mississippi Homeland Security, Mississippi Fire Academy, and authorize Chief Brian Roberts to execute the same.
Thank you, Chief. There's a motion to approve those 4 items. Motion by Ms. Talia Dobbs. Second by Mr. Chris Vinson. Any further discussion, comment, or question? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
This time, since we have changed the format of the room, you can stay in the room if you'd like. The board, I'm going to ask that you vote to retire to determine the necessity of being in executive session. Motion by Ms. Monica Corley. Second by Mr. Lou Coker. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. So y'all stay here and we'll go to our break.
Thank you. There was one vote in executive session with regard to personnel matters. And Mr. Mayor, with regard to the agenda item, when we approved the, let me go back to it. I just need to make clarification. When we approved the contracts for Lee Bryce from the Carolina Boy, we also, the Parmalee is Ann Parmalee TN LLC representing Parmalee, and I've included that in the minutes as part of the action just to make sure we're covered on that. She has her own company.
Okay, thank you. All right, with no other business before us, we'll adjourn until May 3rd, 2021. Motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Lou Coker, second by Ms. Talia Dobbs. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. All right, Ms. Shelley, thank you.
Is this her last meeting?